The pump clicks past $40 before your tank even hits 3/4 full, and you watch those little numbers spin like a slot machine that only ever pays out for the gas station, never for you, and that familiar sick feeling drops into your stomach because you already know exactly what this means. Another week where half your paycheck evaporates just getting you back and forth to the job that pays you in the first place. You start doing the math without even meaning to. How many fill-ups this month? How much of your actual life is getting burned off at $3 and change a gallon? And driving starts to feel less like freedom and more like getting slowly bled out by a meter you have zero control over. On your way inside to pay you, past that entire wall of $20 bottles with bold letters screaming instant mileage, instant power, instant relief from exactly the problem you are standing there feeling in real time, and some tired little voice in the back of your head asks the only question that actually matters: is any of this real, or is this just another shelf built to catch people desperate enough to try anything once? You have been burned by miracle in a bottle promises before, so your gut says walk past it, and for once, your gut is completely right, because almost everything on that wall is priced for your desperation, not engineered for your engine, and those are not the same thing at all. Maybe you have even grabbed one of those bottles before, out of pure frustration, poured it in, and felt absolutely nothing different a week later except a lighter wallet and a heavier sense that you got played again. That kind of letdown is exactly why this next part matters, because the fix that actually works has nothing to do with a miracle bottle and everything to do with understanding one specific, boring, well-documented piece of chemistry that the service industry would rather keep behind a closed bay door. Here is what nobody standing behind that service counter is ever going to volunteer to tell you. When a dealership quotes you what they officially call a fuel induction service, usually somewhere between $150 and $250, tacked onto a routine oil change like it was always non-negotiable, what actually happens behind that closed bay door is a technician connecting a machine to your fuel rail and running a cleaning solvent through your system under pressure for about 30 minutes while you sit in the waiting room scrolling your phone and watching the clock. That is the entire service, start to finish. It usually shows up on that laminated checklist your service advisor slides across the counter at around 30,000 or 60,000 miles, sandwiched between things your car genuinely does need, like an air filter or a cabin filter, which makes it feel just as mandatory, even though it absolutely is not. The pitch leans hard on urgency, phrases like restore, lost power, and prevent costly future repairs, without ever once naming the actual chemistry involved, because a vague warning is a lot more persuasive than 3 specific letters you could go look up yourself in about 10 seconds. The part actually doing the real chemical work inside that machine is a detergent compound called polyetheramine, shortened to PEA across the fuel industry, and it is not some locked-away formula reserved for shops with expensive proprietary equipment. It is sitting on a store shelf right now for $15 to $20, quite possibly the exact bottle you are looking at on your screen this very second, and it performs essentially the same cleaning function when you pour it directly into your own gas tank with your own 2 hands in under 2 minutes flat. Ask yourself honestly why 3 letters, PEA, never once come up during that entire service counter conversation. It is not an accident, and it is not an oversight. The moment you know those 3 letters and what they actually mean, a $200 appointment quietly turns into a $15 bottle and 5 minutes of your own time, and that exact math is precisely why nobody behind that counter is in any hurry to teach it to you. If you are done paying shop labor rates for chemistry, you could be pouring yourself in your own driveway. Hit subscribe right now, because that is the entire mission of this channel, handing you the specific, read the label knowledge that keeps your money sitting in your own account instead of quietly sliding across a counter into someone else's every single time your car needs basic maintenance. Now, let's actually get into why this works, because you deserve the real mechanism here, not just another promise. Older engines used port fuel injection, spraying gasoline through the intake runner and right past the back of the intake valve on every single cycle, and that constant wash of fuel kept the valve reasonably clean as an accidental side effect of how the whole system was originally built. Most modern engines switched over to direct injection instead, firing fuel straight into the combustion chamber and skipping the intake port entirely, which is fantastic for power output and for meeting tightening emissions targets, but it also means that intake valve never gets that natural gasoline rinse anymore, not even once. Instead, it sits there exposed to oil vapor, and tiny amounts of combustion blow by on every single cycle the engine runs, and over tens of thousands of miles that residue slowly bakes onto the valve and hardens into an actual carbon crust. That crust physically disrupts smooth airflow into the cylinder, throws off your air-fuel ratio in small but very real ways, and quietly steals the mileage and the smooth idle your engine was originally engineered to deliver, all without ever throwing a single warning light or a check engine code to tip you off. You might notice it first as a slightly rougher idle at a stoplight, or a tiny hesitation when you press the pedal to merge onto the highway, small enough that you talk yourself out of it every single time, assuming it is just your imagination or normal wear. It is not your imagination. It is carbon, quietly accumulating exactly where the manufacturer's own engineering intended raw fuel to be doing the cleaning naturally, and it has been building for longer than you probably realize. Polyethyramine molecules are built with one specific job. They latch onto those carbon deposits, break the chemical bond holding them to the metal surface, and carry them off in solution so they get burned away harmlessly in the combustion chamber, instead of continuing to build up layer after layer, month after month. This is not restructuring your fuel at some mysterious molecular level, and it is not a forbidden catalyst that history conveniently buried. It is a detergent doing precisely what detergents are designed to do, except this particular detergent is engineered to survive real combustion temperatures and keep functioning inside a pressurized fuel system instead of just cutting grease in a kitchen sink. This is also not some fringe internet theory. A group of major automakers actually agreed on a real minimum standard for exactly this problem, called top-tier detergent gasoline, which should tell you everything you need to know about how real this deposit issue actually is, because entire engineering departments do not build formal certification programs around problems that do not exist in the first place. So, what exactly is that dealership charging you $200 for? Mostly labor, shop overhead, and the visual theater of watching a machine get bolted to your engine bay like something out of a science documentary while you wait. To be completely fair, the pressurized induction method can reach some deposits marginally faster than a self-added treatment working over the course of a normal tank of gas. There is a small advantage there, specifically for genuinely severe, long neglected cases. But for the overwhelming majority of routine carbon buildup, driving on a correctly dosed bottle accomplishes essentially the same cleaning result. It just happens gradually across a couple hundred miles of totally normal driving instead of 30 minutes in a shop bay for roughly a tenth of the total cost out of your pocket. Here is the honest part most channels will not tell you, because it cuts against the simple, cheap, good, expensive, bad story that tends to get more views. Do not swing to the opposite extreme and grab the cheapest $4 bottle sitting on the bottom shelf either, because a lot of budget additives out there are mostly filler solvent with barely enough active PEA concentration to do anything meaningful at all, and the label is not legally required to disclose the exact percentage sitting inside that bottle. The genuinely smart move, the one that actually respects your intelligence instead of just your wallet, is picking a product that explicitly states it meets or exceeds top-tier detergency standards right there on its own label, not just grabbing whatever bottle happens to be the cheapest one within arm's reach at the counter. This is also exactly the kind of claim you do not have to take on faith, because it is testable in your own driveway, which is precisely why this corner of the internet exists in the first place. People running the same bottle through their own engine and comparing notes in the comments instead of just trusting a label or a script. Here is your exact protocol, laid out with zero guesswork required. Step 1. Confirm you are actually working with a gasoline engine, because diesel fuel systems require a completely different additive chemistry entirely, and gasoline treatments and diesel treatments are never, under any circumstance, interchangeable with each other. Step 2. Pick up a reputable polyethyramine-based fuel system cleaner, ideally one that states top-tier compliance directly and clearly on the label, instead of relying on vague marketing language alone. Step 3. Add the full bottle when your tank is already sitting on the lower side, then fill up immediately afterward with a full tank of fresh gasoline so the detergent mixes evenly throughout the entire tank instead of sitting concentrated in one small pocket near the bottom. Step 4. Just drive completely normally for that entire tank, including a bit of higher RPM highway driving if your schedule allows it, because that extra heat and airflow genuinely helps carry the detergent across the intake valves and injector tips while they are hot and most receptive to actually being cleaned. If you want real proof, instead of just taking this channel's word for it, reset your trip computer or jot down your odometer reading right before you start this process, then check it again after a full tank or two of normal driving, the same way this channel tests literally everything else. That is the entire point. Verify it yourself instead of trusting a bottle or a dealership or, frankly, trusting this video either. Now, the critical warning: And pay very close attention here, because this is the part that actually keeps you and your car safe. Never exceed the treat ratio printed directly on the bottle. More product is not more effective, and significantly overdosing detergent chemistry into your fuel system can genuinely do more harm than the deposits you were originally trying to remove in the first place. Never combine two different additive brands or types into the same tank at the same time. There is zero benefit to doing this, and you genuinely have no reliable way of knowing how those two specific chemical formulations will interact with each other inside a sealed fuel system. Keep the bottle sealed and stored somewhere cool when you are not actively using it, and handle it with basic common sense, decent ventilation, no extended direct skin contact, the same respect you would give any automotive chemical sitting in your garage. And if your engine has already gone tens of thousands of miles with zero cleaning, and you are currently dealing with a rough idle, a real hesitation under load, or any other genuine drivability symptom, understand clearly that a bottle is a maintenance tool, not a repair for years of accumulated neglect, because severe deposit buildup sometimes genuinely needs a professional walnut shell media cleaning where a technician physically removes the hardened carbon rather than chemically dissolving it. Promising you that a $15 bottle fixes absolutely everything would be exactly the same dishonest trick this entire video exists to expose in the first place, and this channel is not interested in becoming the thing it calls out. So line it up side by side and let the actual numbers speak for themselves. $15 to $20 and about 5 minutes of your own time, in a bottle you control completely from start to finish, against $150 to $250, and someone else's hourly labor rate for functionally the same core chemistry running through a fancier looking machine. Do this twice a year as routine maintenance, and you are looking at maybe $30 to $40 annually, compared to hundreds of dollars for the same basic result at a service counter. That gap does not just cover one fill-up, it covers real months of groceries, a car payment, breathing room in a budget that gas prices already squeeze hard enough without a service counter, squeezing it further for chemistry sitting on a shelf 20 feet from where you are standing. Share this video right now with anyone you know who just got quoted a fuel induction service at their last appointment, so they can walk back in already knowing exactly what they are paying for and exactly what it actually costs to do themselves before they agree to hand over a single dollar.